All right, we sent intern Squidward to all the courthouses in the area. He asked people, why are you in court today? It's perfect because Squid is basically a walking criminal who doesn't have a record.
It's true.
I have a record.
Who also has a record. Let the record show he has a record.
All right.
Fair enough.
What kind of record you got?
No, I don't have really that bad.
Not that much of a record.
Yeah.
You got that speeding ticket from a state trooper. Is that part of it?
Yeah.
The reckless driving.
I have like a halfway DUI. Not a seriously.
A halfway.
Because
like a
I
drug
was
rehab,
operating a
too.
motor vehicle as a minor after consuming alcohol, so I didn't blow over the legal limit, but I still blew something as a minor. So.
And
many
what
years
about
ago.
the robberies and stuff? Where's that?
I've been caught for those. So.
Burglary, stealing, theft, anything.
No?
No.
Hey.
All right, so this is when you were like 15.
Like 18 or something.
Mm-hmm.
How's that underage drinking?
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
you were talking about driving without a license and you're also drinking. I'm like, dang, this dude got a double.
Got a double
Got
record.
the double record. All right, but he asked people, so it makes more sense why you can relate to people. Why are you in court today?
What's going on, boss? I'm on the radio station. We ask people why they're in court. You can be anonymous. You mind if I ask you why?
Oh, ass cops. Go ahead.
Jeff Cops? What were they doing? What were they doing?
What'd he say?
He said, bitch ass cop.
Bitch ass cops. Yeah.
It's a strong headline, my man.
Yeah.
Got my attention.
Man, you don't see G police being rental cops like they do.
Pressing up on you?
Yeah,
What was you doing?
being black.
What they say you were doing?
Being black. Driving while black.
Wait, what's the case today? What's the case you got going on? What's up with that?
Nothing, man. Ain't nothing too much.
You got a handle?
They said I ain't have my license. I ain't have it on me.
You didn't? How you be caught slipping without your license, dog?
I just went to the gas station, came back.
Damn.
Yeah.
Done something real quick there and back.
Across the street.
Damn. That's a shame, bro.
Hey.
That's a shame.
I didn't think I was gonna get pulled over.
Yeah.
And then right after they pulled me over, they pulled somebody else over. After they pulled them over, they pulled somebody else over. And it's just a long line of getting pulled over for no reason.
That's a shame, man. That's a
Yeah.
shame. Well, good
You
luck.
like with the Hunchback of Notre Dame? What's with the
Yeah,
cathedral?
I don't know.
The
Yeah, it was
cathedral
like
chime
bad
in the
timing.
background.
It was bad
No,
timing.
it's just like, where's that happening
Is it the
around here?
church right down the street?
Is it a big church?
I
that
There's
does
guess.
that?
Yeah, they ring their bells.
Oh, I kind of like that. I didn't know that it happened.
There you go. I
Good
thought
luck.
he was going to be late for court.
It's like, oh man, dang!
That sounds like Mr. Bad Luck.
Yeah.
Just car after car.
Yeah.
Car after
Well, you got
car.
to have a reason. Police have to have a reason to pull you over. You can't just randomly be pulled over. So
Well, they can
Well-
do the traffic stop. I mean,
They could
you
trap
have to
her.
have a reason, though.
no,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
no. When
What do
they
you call it, the license check?
no, the license checks.
Well, if they have a set up, but that's actually been under controversy too. If they have like a DUI checkpoint,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah. But if you're just randomly pulling
You
over,
can't do that.
You can't. And I think a DUI checkpoint is up in arms too with that, where you don't have to necessarily do anything by law. You can technically say, "I'm not," unless they have some evidence. So when they stop you over, they smell stuff. When you slow down to the checkpoint, they stop and they smell something.
They ask for your license.
Yeah, but if I think if there's no infraction and you say I don't answer questions, I think they have to let you go.
Or you
It's
get,
illegal in there.
smell something.
or you might get tased. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe so because it does seem odd.
You
'cause
can't-
In
you can't-
any other scenario, you can't do that.
Yeah, you cannot just randomly pull somebody over unless there's maybe a light out or you
They're
swerved.
speeding, right.
You
I
can't do that
wonder
now either.
if maybe
Speed.
there was a stop sign there too, and they're just like easily getting people who
They're
aren't
rolling
stopping all the
through.
way.
Yeah,
Right.
you have to have. I mean, to get pulled over is probably easy. I mean, you can find a reason. Like if you didn't wait 2 seconds at the stop sign and then go, that
Right.
could be an infraction.
Because I roll through often.
But I
Yeah.
will tell
I
you
should.
this:
I need to stop it.
a lot of
Literally.
cases are thrown out. A lot of cases are thrown out of traffic infractions, including DUIs, based on what was the reason for the pulling over in the first place. Do you see what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
So
Yeah.
if you get pulled over for a DUI, and I personally know one of my friends got pulled over for a DUI, and they couldn't come up with dismissed. So if you don't have an exact, so if the police said, oh well, he was swerving, and I noticed him swerving out of lane, then that's a reason.
Yeah.
But if there's no reason, you can prove there's a reason for it, then it usually gets dismissed.
Well, couldn't they always just say you're swerving? Because if
Well, they
you're-
could
then-
say that, but they could say, well, let's see the footage of the. I mean, I'm sure
Oh,
that's
that's
happens
true.
a lot.
Right.
That's true.
But you're supposed to have a reason to pull it. In fact, they were actually trying to make it so that like a missing taillight or a missing light was not good enough for a while. I'm not sure if that's the case or
I
not.
think that in North Carolina it is. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, he continued to ask people why they're
By
in
the
court.
way, just for the record, I studied criminal justice in college.
Yes.
Thank you.
in Virginia Beach. So I don't know if that applies here. in
Yeah,
Old Dominion.
it's different.
Yeah,
We're talking
every
about different
every
states.
Yeah, every state's way different.
Always.
Excuse me, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Hope you are.
Yeah, I'm with the radio station. We ask people why they in court. You can be anonymous. You mind if I ask you why?
Probation.
Probation? Probation for what?
Marijuana.
Marijuana. They catch
Like she whispered.
Yeah.
Louder, please.
Smoking again? Caught you with a dime bag?
It was less than that.
Less than that?
It was less than that, yeah. And then you have to go through a whole year of probation for less than a dime. Another
They
state
put you on probation for a dime bag of weed?
dime, less than a dime.
Jeez.
Yeah, because I have a record that goes back a lot of misdemeanors, a lot of traffic. But to put somebody on probation for a year, and I had to pay in, I think the total was like $700 something.
Jeez.
You know?
Dang. That's
Yeah,
a little
but
sack of
for
weed.
less than a dime of weed, it wasn't even mine. It was my friend's. He said, "Here, take this."
That's what they all
That's what
say.
they all
Excuse.
say. Although I'm with her, I don't believe she would be tying up the courts
No,
over
I
this. And in other
agree.
states, it would be okay.
I agree.
Yeah, it makes it confusing.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
And so what? They catch you smoking again?
They didn't catch me smoking again.
They just
I've
saying-
got a pending DUI, and the DUI happened before the probation.
Mm-hmm.
But if after you're put on probation, you have 5 driving with a revoked license, judges don't take you count. It'd be a wonder if I ever
And more's
did.
coming out.
Yeah, she's got
Yeah.
some.
Well, I hope
some-
you do. I hope you
She has attorneys. They're probably like, stop.
Meanwhile, she's like schooling Squid.
Yeah, she's like, no, no.
And then, this happened, and then we
Yeah,
have this.
And the charges, they start to add up and multiply. You're like, okay.
do. I appreciate you. Excuse me, man. I'm with the radio station. We ask people why they're in court. You can be anonymous. You mind if I ask you why you're in court today?
No,
Well, why are you in court today?
I was subpoenaed
Uh-huh.
for somebody's trespassing.
Oh, really?
Trespassing charge.
Do you think they did it?
Boring.
Oh, they did it,
They didn't?
but I dismissed it.
Well, oh, you did? You did?
Yeah.
Where was they trespassing at?
In my place of business.
Oh, really? You mind if I ask where that is?
Oh, no, I'm not going to tell you.
Well, thank you. Have a good day.
You tried.
Yeah.
Hey, she could have got a little plug for her business now.
She could have, yeah.
I think that's cool though. She dismissed it. She could have pressed charges.
Yeah.
And she could have had them go through trouble, but she didn't.
Okay.
Did she dismiss it or the court dismissed it?
She said she did. She said
I don't want to do this.
Yeah, she said that
Oh,
she was
she- okay.
subpoenaed and said she dismissed it. Yeah.
All right. Let's go to Carlos. You're a police officer. You have some info about being pulled over.
Yes, sir. Good morning. How's everybody?
Hey, we're great. Thank you.
Good, good, good. I was explaining to the gentleman earlier that reasonable suspicion is the standard that law enforcement officers need to put a car on the side of the road. That's what they need. In order to search that vehicle, however, you need probable cause. If you don't have probable cause to search that car, and they tell you no, that's the end of it. That's the end of it. You can hold them for a reasonable amount of time, like a lot of guys will do it to secure a K-9, but if that K-9 is completely on the other side of the city, you can't hold them. You got to hold them a reasonable amount of time, but you got to cut them loose.
What's considered a
You just have to
reasonable
try to
amount of
give them
time?
another day.
Yeah, what is a reasonable amount of time?
A reasonable amount of time, technically, is what a reasonable person would deem. That's how they do it. The standard is based off of what a reasonable person thinks. So I would say on the average traffic stop, I got you stopped. Everything's going well, but you're so nervous. I want to put a K-9 on the car. I'm going to hold you there probably about 6 or 7 minutes while I'm checking your stuff. Once I have completed all of my checks, everything is clear, and the K-9 has not showed up, I choose to suspend the stop right there.
And
Because
officer,
I think beyond that, everything has checked out, and it's just going to take too long. There's no need for me to hold you any longer.
Officer Carlos, how often does it happen though, where somebody is in the car and they say, "No, I'm not handing you my license. No, I'm not participating." I mean, how often?
Well, if you pulled over for a stop, you have to give the license, I believe.
Well, but you were just saying in the very beginning that they can say to you, "I'm not."
You can't
Or
let them
search
search
the
your car.
car.
Search
Yeah.
your car. Yeah. How often does that happen?
Right. Well, in North Carolina, if you do not provide your identification in what we would call would be a reasonable stop, and it's also considered we're trying to investigate who you are. If you don't provide that license, you can be charged. You have to provide your identification when you're in the middle of an investigation. You have to provide it. Thank God we have it in this state. In a lot of states, they do not. So that guy or girl says they're not going to give you their license, and they don't do it, and there's no crime, no evidence of a crime has been committed. In some other states, you have to cut them loose.
And does that
In this
include?
state, if we can identify you, we just don't cut you loose.
Let me ask you, Officer Carlos, right? Is that also, is there a difference if you're driving or not? So, for instance, if you're just walking on the street and a police officer wants to identify you for randomly, that wouldn't be that might be some trouble. You would have to be suspicious of a crime or investigating a crime or driving to be pulled over. Is that correct?
You could be, but if I got break-ins in an area nearby and you're walking, I need to identify you.
Right, but only if it's pertained to that break-in. A police officer can't just randomly. Go ahead.
They could, but you have the right to refuse.
Right.
Especially if you're not guilty of anything, nothing's been committed around the area, and you're being compliant. If you refuse, actually they can, and you really don't have anything to charge them with at that point.
And just for the record, I'm on the side of making it easier. Just like, okay, I would show my ID. I'm not unless it was like some target, but that is I think police can automatically just say, I want to see your ID. Even if you can do that, but in certain instances, you have the right of a free country, if you're not being investigated, there's no crime around, to not have to do that. For the sake of the good, it's probably just easier to give the ID.
Yeah, right. And we're talking to Officer Carlos, his first name, but what it would be reasonable suspicion when you're behind a car? Like, is that very loose? Like, just pretty much anything if you just like you're into
weed smoke billowing out.
Right.
Listening to Squid's raps.
Well, one of the biggest things with reasonable suspicion that we have, if you're coming out of a high crime area or an area that, let's say, that's had a lot of break-ins, a lot of larcenies where people have been stealing property, and you see 4 cars piled up in the vehicle, the first thing they do when they pass you is all 4 of them, except the driver, turn around and look to see where you went by. The minute that you turn around, and it happens every single time, I promise you guys that happens. When you ride by that car, both passengers in the back and the passenger in the front seat, all of them turn around and look at you.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they tell the driver, hey, keep that thing centered. Don't move.
Let me ask you one thing, Officer Carlos. When that happens and that cost is reasonable suspicion, and it gets to court, let's just say that they pulled over and they all of a sudden that maybe they had an open container in the car or something. That's all they had. And they were charged for it, and it gets to court, and they have an attorney. Would that attorney say, well, they got pulled over just for turning their heads, and that's going to hold up?
No, because we would have to give the testimony as to why we pulled that car over. And my sworn testimony would be, they rode by me. We had a lot of break-ins in that area. I passed the vehicle. They all turned around and looked at me. I wanted to check the car. It fit the possible description. The suspects fit the description. No vehicle description was given. Pulled it over just to check. Everything had a clear. They would have been on their way, and I would have continued with my regular duty. And I certainly will challenge it. It's all about what you can annotate in your report and what and your sworn testimony on that day, truthful in nature.
Right. But if they didn't match the description, I think there would be problems, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, if that was the case, we'd have a problem with every single traffic stop.
Right.
If that was true.
Well,
certain people will say that, hey,
that's ultimately the attorney's argument would be in a defense of why you pulled the car over in the first place. And if they had nothing to do with it, they didn't look like it was just one person, and they turned their head, but then all of a sudden you found a beer in the car and charged them with the open container. Wouldn't the other side would argue that part? I would think.
Are we in court right now? Because I feel like we are.
No, I just like to know. We have an expert on.
We do.
Yeah.
I feel like you're challenging everything you say.
Well, I mean, the other side would be the attorney side. There is a different side.
Well,
Jason
I
does.
see what you're saying.
I guess you listened to the show because you called in. You know, Jason looks for loopholes.
Yes, I do.
When he says but I abide by the law.
And he's also historically weak on crime.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh, very
I'm pro-police.
No, you can be pro-police, but also weak on crime.
Yeah.
No, I'm not weak on crime. I'm stronger on certain crimes and less on others. Like the decriminalization of marijuana and making it legal is one thing, and then other crimes like murder and rape is another thing.
Yeah, or the crimes like you and your friends are involved in. You're like kind of weak on that. Yeah, we all are, right?
Yeah.
So what was the question?
Case.
What was the question?
I don't know.
He does.
I don't know.
Well, Carlos,
I think his question was in general was the defense attorney's argument. You have to remember something when a guy or girl, or definitely know that this charge sticks, if they're on their way to prison, the defense attorney is going to pull out all the stops to get them off because that's what they're paid to do.
Yeah.
Right.
If that stop includes something as minor as why you pulled them over, that's the argument they're going to go with. Other than that, honestly, an open container with me, I'm going to give you a citation and send you on your way. As long as your license and your vehicle's registered and everything, I'm going to cut you a citation, a criminal
Carlos
summons.
a real one, man.
See, now
There we
Katie is
go.
weak on crime.
Carlos.
She's clapping.
Carlos.
She's clapping. Katie is weak on crime.
Yeah, and
He's not
Squid.
holding up the system. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I can tell that he is about business.
Yes.
He has a police officer's
Yes, he
voice.
does.
Like I want to listen to anything he tells me to do.
All
Well,
of it.
my roommate ended up being a police officer in college, and and there's certain things that do tie him up that he could be doing other things that are a lot more effective for the community, especially depending where you are. And one of them was some of this. I don't want to get too into it, but he was like this is going to take me 3 hours to process.
Yeah.
Or I could be fighting the gang violence on the street right here. So I'm
Right.
sure.
There is so much officer discretion that we have out here in the field. You can ruin somebody's day and their insurance with a bunch of stuff, or I base my business on the nature of the stop and the individual I'm dealing with. If I have an individual that is 100% compliant, I got the license, I got the registration, I got everything I need. They were compliant. They gave me everything. There was nothing in the car. I simply tell them, can you do me a favor and pull your right foot out of that gas just a little bit, so that everybody else on this road can be safe. But mostly, I'm not going to be working a wreck with a fatality later on involving you. Tough for me to walk up to your family's door and tell them this individual is no longer here because they've been in a car accident. Can you do that for me? They will smile. They will shake their head. Yes, I will send them on their way. There's a way to do it. It's all about the interaction on the road. We get the bad reputation because people say, well, I heard the guy say earlier that punk-ass cops. Well, whether that be the case or not, I'm not going to put myself in that category. So all my interactions have been courteous. Have it been like that my whole career? Of course not, because some people take you there. But I have never done anything to jeopardize my certification or career. And I want all interactions. Somebody steps in the court and says, hey, how was that officer with you? Oh, he was wonderful. That's what I want to hear. Do I need it? No. Is it good to hear? Absolutely. Sometimes that can be worth more than the pay.
Well, I
He's
I
wonderful.
applaud that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do applaud that, and like for the record, we I think most of us here, are for the police.
Oh, absolutely.
I know certain, in a group, one bad apple can ruin a bunch, but I'm definitely pro police and believe we need police, and I believe police need better pay and more support.
Yeah. So if you see Jason and you pull him over, just remember that. And I want Carlos's last thing off the air, so if I could pull it over, no, I'm friends with Officer so-and-so, and he told me to take my foot off the gas, so
We
we're
don't know,
good.
where is he? What? If you don't mind, Officer
I
Carlos.
have never seen two grown men kiss ass more than right now.
I
Like
was,
you
I
two.
was challenging. I was challenging.
You were not. You were pretending like we're in a court of law.
I was
Officer
challenging.
Carlos, I can give you the make and model of Katie's car if you want to pull her over. I'm sure she has some open containers.
What county, if you don't mind us, what county or city do you work in?
I'm right outside of, I'd just be willing to say that I'm right outside of Durham County.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank
Well,
you for
we
listening.
appreciate your service and serving. We want to get your phone number if we have any police officer questions.
You're an expert. We'd love to come to you.
You're very good at it. Like, you're good at explaining it. Is that okay?
I would, you guys could contact me or have me contact you at any time. I'll be happy to leave you my number. And, that's no problem at all. What guys like me are trying to do, because I've got a lot of time in the field, you want to change that public perception of law enforcement. If you change one person's opinion, that's a success, believe it or not. I know you'd like to change 50%. It's not going to happen that way because every time we get ahead, an incident happens. We had this discussion a few weeks ago. We're doing so well, the public's got our trust again, and then comes Memphis.
Right.
And now we're kind of right back in the same spot. So, in my opinion, those incidents are isolated. They are. George Floyd was isolated. They're isolated incidents, but it affects the whole 50 states.
Yep.
And anybody in this profession. It can affect you down to the Department of Corrections and down to the detention centers. All of that stuff can trickle in there because everybody has a feeling about what they saw.
Yep.
Right.
And whether the facts, even if those facts on those videos are dead on, it's just what you saw. There's no excuse for it, none whatsoever. But please don't punish those that do the job right.
Right.
They weren't in the video.
Right. And
They weren't in the video.
And then you do look at statistics, which I think, I don't know, may annoy Katie with stats with sports or whatever, but different things. But statistically, there's millions and millions of interactions with police officers, and they end appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
But when they don't, obviously it could be
It
deadly.
makes the
and
news.
It makes the
Yeah,
news,
it's
of course. And that's-
sensational.
Well, Carlos,
I think in my career I can count the number of ones that for mine that didn't go, but somebody had to go to jail because they weren't compliant. But for the most part, that officer can set the tone when he approaches that individual. You can get out and huff and puff with the weight of the badge, or you can get out and remember that driver in that car was you at one time. Before you did this job, you got stopped too.
Yeah.
What was your reaction to that officer when he came to your car? That's how you have to look at it.
love it.
Very good. Thank
You're
you.
great. Hold on,
Thank
don't hang
you.
up. We'll give you over to our producer.
I've got your info, Carlos.
Oh,
You
good.
good?
Okay.
Wow, he's fantastic.
You're free to go, Officer Carlos. You're free to go.
Hey, make sure you keep your foot off the gas, okay? All right.
I'm on it.
Unless you're chasing a criminal, then it's okay. That was funny. Free to go. Perfect.